started in just a moment. So good afternoon. Welcome MWH and Methuen Construction teammates to the Northeast Regional Semi-Annual meeting. So, first of all, thank you all for coming. Great turnout. It's wonderful to all be together once again to share information and just socialize. As always, let's take care of the cell phone issue. If you could just silence your cell phones. Take a moment to do that, please. All right, very good. So for this afternoon, we really changed it up. We have a shortened agenda, and as part of that agenda, the sole purpose is really to address the engagement survey. Many of you responded to the engagement survey that went out earlier this year, and there were not only some great suggestions, but some items that we felt were necessary to address, so we will address those at this meeting. And by shortening the agenda, it gives more time to socialize, which we think is important as an organization for sure. There's also a lot of good news for the region, so we want to share that as well. And once again, as always, this is your meeting, so if you have questions or feedback, please send them into the suggestion box, or when the surveys come out, the engagement surveys, respond. Give us your feedback. We will also record this meeting and share it on the hub, the internal internet, so anyone that missed the meeting will be able to see the whole event. So I think that's a good thing. So Danny's taking care of recording that for us. So next up, please join me, stand and join me in pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, here is the agenda for the semi-annual meeting. Some of us, in fact, have heard this next presentation, and it's being put on by Lee Braun, who is our manager of safety for federal projects, and Evan McCracken, who is the civil foreman. And they're going to go over safety, quality, productivity, and teammate engagement, which are all key and pivotal to our success. They all lead to effective communication, and that's one of the things we'll address here this afternoon. We'll review the engagement survey results, what we heard from all of you, and more importantly, what we're doing about it. We're also going to recognize outstanding performance and career growth, talk about upcoming regional events, and there's a couple of great events coming up here. We also did receive several comments in the suggestion box, so we will address those as well. And then we will also look to answering questions that came in during that period of time. So next up, without any further ado, Lee Braun and Evan McCracken.
What's really comical is he said a shortened agenda, and he's got Lee up here. You just click over. Yeah. Yes, I need some responsibility. So no, Joe had already threatened me with a shock collar, so I will keep it short and brief because Evan is a perfect example as a foreman on how to properly prepare for any activity, as well as planning and all the steps, and as Wayne said, all those areas in which he's going to hit with engagement and quality, profitability, safety, they all intermingle. They're all end up, you lose one and you lose them all. So Evan, without further ado, you're up.
Thanks, Lee. Thank you, Lee. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Tom Page? Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. So we're going to talk about the planning process. Up at the shipyard, it's a little bit different maybe than it is on some of the other projects around the company. We kind of have 3 steps. So it starts with the pre-work plan, and then we focus on the AHA. I'm not sure that the other projects do as much as us. No? And then we finish up with the daily activity plan. So the pre-work plans are the start of the planning process. When you're starting a new scope of work, the pre-work plan is the first step in that process, and ideally it should be done in a group setting, get everybody involved, everybody's input on that. The entire project team involvement by going through the activity step by step is key. This gives ownership to all involved in the activity. So just like I said, everybody gets involved, you get everybody's input and get the wheels turning. So by involving everyone on the project team in the planning step by step, it allows everyone to take ownership, the keyword there, ownership of their piece of the plan. It also will allow you to see everything through their eyes and from a different perspective, which will spark creativity. This will allow us to visualize the plan and catch potential mistakes or missteps before they happen, because we will have this broader view. Being told to perform a task is far different than having ownership in a task. Because you are involved in the planning, all teammates become more engaged and more motivated. I think the key word there is engaged, right? Teammates are gonna work harder and be more productive when they've had input in the planning process. I've seen that personally, especially at the Crane Rail project. It gets more people engaged and excited about the work. They'll find better, more efficient ways to execute the work and feel more comfortable coming to you to bring up any possible issues that could impact the schedule, or worse, could pose a safety concern. So when those teammates feel comfortable with you, they're going to be more forthcoming with that kind of stuff. So teammates performing the activity can give different perspectives, resulting in safe delivery, a quality product, and completed on time with less chance of rework. I think that's been a big one for us in the past, is rework. So again, getting everyone's input helps everyone see the big picture and focus on that common goal. So when we all share the responsibility, our confidence as a team is going to grow. Next slide. Team involvement step by step. That's a pre-work plan. That's a kind of a template, it looks like. That's from the Lynn project. I'm not really familiar with what's going on there in Lynn. So I want to talk a little bit about the Crane Rail project. At the Crane Rail, the project pretty much takes place on a road that's right beside the dry dock 2 in the CIA. And we're tasked with phase 3, which started in January. There's 2 rails. There's your waterside rail and your landside rail. So the landside rail is right up against John Paul Jones Avenue. So we got to open almost an 8-foot deep cut alongside the old foundation of that rail, and we got to demo that out. So risks and safety challenges. Some of the risks that we had were there's many utilities right there within the first 30 feet. We had a water line, steam line, condensate line, an industrial waste line, compressed air, multiple duct banks. It was really challenging, right within that cut. So your safety equipment, special PPE, you got hot work, you're going to be grinding, so you're going to need a welding hood, air monitor. Project specifications, you're going to be installing lagging. They installed 29 micropiles, which needed stud welding as well as lagging being installed. So a lot of things that as a civil crew, we're not welders, so we're getting into some work that we're not really used to. So needed training right there, welding. We're not used to welding, so the company, we rented a stud welder, we needed training on that. Tools and material, again, you have to procure your lagging, your studs, all your hardware. So specialty inspections, do those welds need to be inspected? Things like that.
Yeah, I can attest, guys, also that work plan, I don't need a mic. That work plan, this one happens to be for Lynn, but what he's describing was, we started back a year ago, at least a year ago, where we started really involving the team and having this planning, and then the work plan came out, which helped it tremendously because it's step by step. All the teammates are involved, and it makes it so by doing that, if we miss something, you folks, the teammates out there, the labor force, they're the ones putting it in place, right? Right, Evan? And by doing that, they would bring up things that we wouldn't think of. Now, Kurt, I think you were involved in some of this, so you recently, and you can attest that there's things that they bring up that we weren't familiar with. We do the same thing over to Sandblast. So it's really an important part of the planning, and it gets everybody involved.
All right, next slide is near and dear to my heart. The daily activity plan, my personal favorite. Teammate engagement keeps all understanding that they have ownership in the safety of their teammates and quality of the final product. I'm going to say something that may not be too popular among the foremen, but if you're filling out your daily activity plan 10 minutes before you're about to review it with the crew, then you've already put yourself and everyone else at risk. Ideally, your daily activity plan should be filled out the previous day.
Yeah.
I do that every day, and I think that everybody else should try to do that. I know that things happen, and we're busy. You know, you guys are working hard out there every day, but at coffee break, start to visualize tomorrow. You know, start to look at what you're going to need, look at the tools you're going to need, you know, any PPE risks that you're going to encounter. Start filling out that form in Procore. It should take you 10 minutes really to fill out your daily activity plan. It's not that big of a deal. Everyone performs better and works more efficiently when they feel they're engaged to create and implement the plan. Involve teammates, task trade leads with filling out the daily activity plans. It's great practice for them, and it helps them form good habits, and it'll take a little bit off your plate. You still have to check it, you know, see if they're filling it out correctly, but that helps develop these guys and helps them get ready to move up, because that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? When reviewing daily activity plans in the morning with the crew, present them with the task description and then ask a question. What are our potential hazards that we're going to run into? Get them thinking about that, thinking in that mindset, and let them plan how they'll execute the work and how they're going to mitigate those hazards. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. But thanks very much. I'm glad you guys asked me to speak.
I'll just leave you, I cannot leave you guys without a quote, even though Chris has said no. If we don't write down the plan, we have no plan. All we have is a wish and a prayer. Okay, bottom line. And then to steal Jeff's, which I set up yesterday and found out who actually put that. If we don't communicate that plan to our teammates and everyone out there involved in that activity, we don't have a team. It's all about the team. Got to work together. It affects quality, it affects profitability, it affects safety. Everyone's involved. Everyone has skin in the game, for lack of better words, and we'll succeed. We'll succeed. It prevents that rework, which we all know that rework adds risk as far as to our quality, risk to safety, and it definitely hurts our bottom line.
I'd actually like to quote Tom Farinelli. You have to practice your 5 Ps. Proper planning prevents poor performance.
Nice job.
So just one comment on all of that. What Evan and Lee presented is spot on. And it's not optional. That's not a nice to have or a nice, let's think about doing this. In the 63 years the company's been in business, we've had a number of successful years. And that is the way we've operated the business in the past. and it needs to be operated at the job level going forward. It's not optional. And guaranteed, if we do all of those things, we will succeed in every area: safety, quality, productivity, and of equal importance is teammate engagement. Everyone will feel they're part of the success of the job in every aspect. So, great presentation, guys. Thank you again. All right, so we did look at the results from this engagement survey, and there were a number of things that needed to be looked at. So the overall goal of that survey was to provide an avenue for an anonymous teammate feedback in the Northeast region and across the entire organization. So it is truly anonymous. No one's name is tagged to any of the items that came back.
Unless you put your name in the comment. So then we got to figure it out.
So some very positive things came back. Safety was extraordinary, and thank everyone in this room for doing that each and every day. Teammates are willing to jump in and help each other, so that's of equal importance. That's how we also succeed. And performance management is good, so a lot of positives, but we need to work on some things. First of all, concern about where we're going as an organization. Lack of employee recognition and supervisor follow-through. Career paths and mentorship, compensation and benefits may not be competitive or up to par in some areas. And more effective communication.
So pause right there. So some of you may have seen this at the quarterly. I know the quarterly doesn't include everyone. I don't think I need that either. Do I need that, Lee?
No, not at all.
Okay. So a lot of you have seen this at the quarterly. Everybody's not at the quarterly. Everybody's here or is invited to be here. This is, hopefully, it's been presented to you. The quarterly's been presented to you. Part of our increasing communication and more effective communication was to roll out the quarterly on the job sites. I don't know if that's happened on all the job sites yet, but Michelle is.
It's been sent out to all the VPs and they're sending it
So
out.
we've got a feedback loop
So
on
we're
all that. So if there's comments about that, continue to give us feedback. We only know what's wrong when we hear about it. And if we don't hear about it, we don't know what's wrong. So we are going to react to this. Unfortunately, we are reacting. And you'll see that now. That's where we're at. So we've already started on more effective communication, and hopefully that's going to take root.
So what are we going to roll out today? Where are we going and how will we get there? So the direction of the organization. Improvements to communication, which will result in increased recognition, teammate satisfaction, and feedback and follow through, creating that feedback loop. Career pathing and the wage and salary evaluation. So first up is the overall organization. You want to take that?
No, I really just talked.
Okay.
I use my hands a lot. So there was a lot of feedback both from the end of the year as well as the employee engagement surveys that they didn't we don't understand the direction of the company, or are concerned about the direction of the company. So going to lay out how we think, who we are right now, and then how we're going to go about executing our plan. So really who we are is collectively we're the Northeast region of MWH. That includes the MWH CMAR side as well as some hard bids, design bid build, traditional delivery, and then the federal, which is really a mix of both. There's a lump sum component to it, but then there's also a best value selection. So our markets are really the federal and the water and private, and that's really where these two delivery methods exist. And we'll talk about the delivery method here in a minute. Anthony's going to school us all on that. And there's a webinar, is that next week?
It's actually the 31st.
The 31st, that talks about the differences and compare and contrast the delivery method. So if anybody's curious about that or wants to learn more, please attend that. It'll be far more in depth than what we're doing today. Each of these market segments and delivery methods within the segments is going to ebb and flow over time, right? Right now, NAFAC is John, half our business this year, well over half our profit. The shipyard's an extremely important component of our business in the immediate term. However, we've seen their spending plans. We recognize that that's going to be smaller in the upcoming years. The great part about that, or the benefit that we have, is that the CMAR design build is really taking off. We've got 200 million in backlog in this pocket, which we've never had before in the Northeast. So this is going to become a much larger portion of our book, and hopefully make up for the NAVFAC work that is going to dry up for a couple of years. It will come back, but right now they don't have spending plans out there like they've had in the past. We don't see the hard bid changing. There's more opportunities than we've ever had. We probably can't estimate, what we've got on our plate or what is out in front of us. We've got more opportunities than we need, and more opportunities that we can actually deliver. So it would be great if it was a third. It's never going to be that, but there's enough opportunities for us to ebb and flow. And in supporting all of that is safety, quality, estimating, project admin, accounting, the garage. There's 1,000 other things that we do to support operations, but this is really, those operational pockets are really how the company's going to continue to move forward. So just to talk about how we interact as Methuen and MWH, don't laugh at my colors.
I think they're off.
Where do you see the colors?
They're spring colors.
They're not meant to be Easter. So traditionally, the NAVFAC of the federal market it's Methuen's. MWH doesn't play in that. It's going to continue to be, that's the brand name, that's who's going to win the work. Methuen's going to continue to be the NAVFAC brand that we use going forward. The hard bid design build primarily is going to be bid under the Methuen name. There are going to be some projects up in Maine that we're going to bid as MWH potentially, and also the larger projects in Massachusetts. Due to the DCAM limits and bonding limits that are out there, we may have to bid as MWH in order to secure the work. That does not mean that it's not opportunities for Methuen teammates, and we'll talk about that again here in a second. The CMAR design build world is really, we see that primarily as MWH. That's the brand and the marketing that we have there. We're able to win work. Anthony was 3 for 3 last year. We don't want to jinx that. There'll be some other good ones coming up this fall. Right now, we've got a little bit of a lull, and that's totally cool because we need to get our feet under us before we take off again. But there is going to be a little bit of Methuen in there. Schnitzer is an example of that. They do some quasi-alternative delivery work that either converts to lump sum or doesn't. So there'll be opportunities in all these spaces for all the people, but really that's how the delivery is going to kind of look for the foreseeable future. Most of that support service is all going to be Methuen. We've already started to implement the project admin into CMIC, which is MWH's backbone, and starting to help support the alternative delivery projects with the Methuen structure that's in place. And that's how we're going to marry the two companies operationally and functionally going forward. I don't know if you guys want to say anything more on that, but that's...
I'll just add one thing. So Jeff did a great job explaining, but the one thing I would add is that CMS is also part of MWH. So we've got Todd and Sheila here from our NPC project. You guys are going to hear a lot more about that job coming up. I've asked them to probably present at the Christmas annual and really showcase that job. It's a $700 million CSO tunnel project. It's very different than anything we do in WH as well as the Methuen, but it's an impressive project. And they are mining the tunnel as we speak. It's the 32-foot mining head, and they are in, I'm not sure how far, a few hundred feet already, but it's a great job for us, and just an amazing team. So we'll give Todd the opportunity to present on that in the coming months. Anyone else?
No, it's good.
Keep the mic.
Sure. So Jeff asked me to answer the question, what is CMAR? So how many of you actually worked on a CMAR or even know how to successfully execute a CMAR? See a few. Jose, you've been on a job. I think you can tell us that it's no different executing CMAR work in the craft side of business as it is on the hardware side. So it's a big point to make, is that CMAR work brings a lot of self-perform work for us, and it's no different when you're getting into construction. But the difference is, there's a couple questions here, and one thing that Jeff mentioned was, we're gonna have a May 31st presentation. Jim Salerno and I are gonna put it on to hopefully get into the details on really the true benefits of CMAR, why we like it, why we think the clients are moving to it, and really get into hopefully a lot of back and forth discussions to educate anybody that's interested to learn. So hopefully we get a good turnout. We're going to do it in class now, and we'll put hopefully a good presentation together. But just two highlights here was, why do owners why are the owners starting to move towards CMAR? And then the other question is, why do we want to do CMAR? And it's, for the owners, it's pretty simple. For the ones that have the aha moment, is a lot of them, they really focus on their budget, and cost certainty means everything to them. And if you ever seen a project, utility director, tell their board that their project was worth $50 million and it comes in at bid time at 85, that's a big deal for that utility director. So cost certainty is a big deal. This delivery method really helps nail down or secure that cost certainty for the owner. Early contractor input, they really want the contractors, they're learning that the engineers are good at designing, but they're not good at bringing the good ideas to the table at the early stage of design, where our input is important, because our input can really change and shape the direction of that design and create a more efficient design and just a more collaborative approach to how to build it, so that when we get into construction, we're all on the same team. Schedule drives cost. We get to develop that schedule. We're doing the scheduling, we're doing the costing. We're really securing down the risk by handling all this stuff. Sequencing and multiple, a lot of clients are nervous about their plants and the fact that we've got to work within their plants. And this allows them to really have a lot of input on how to sequence the work and talking to the contractors who know how to put it in place. So another big benefit to them. And then ultimately, it's collaboration. A lot of these clients are sick of hard bid work, and that's why you're seeing it happen more and more in New England. New England's very parochial, New England Yankee kind of mentality. They don't want to change, but it's starting to finally catch on. And the reality is, like, we have some clients, like up in Blackstone, they refer to design build as argue, fight, and sue, and they're just sick of it, and they won't do another hard bid job. So that's a problem if we're not qualified to go after a CMAR, which is all they're going to do going forward. Well, that's why we want to be a CMAR player, is because it's coming. Not everyone, there'll be plenty of hard bid forever, but there's going to be plenty of CMAR opportunities, and we're a national player. We're well respected in the industry. It's, to me, if there's an opportunity for CMAR, I'm driving it that way, because I know my chance to win quite great in this region compared to our competition. So we've got a huge head start against the competition, and we're hoping to keep taking advantage of that. As Jeff said, we won 3 out of 3 last year. It lowers the risk. It's a lower risk delivery for our company. Basic construction is risky. For us, we're into the design at an early phase to really hopefully work out all the risk in a project in design by designing it out. Now, we can't design out all the risk, so we are taking some into construction, but we are able to manage that risk by setting allowances, by unit pricing. So we're going in with our eyes open when we get to construction, and a buy-in with the client on what the risks are, how we're going to handle it. It's an open book process, so it's just it's a really great project delivery method to utilize. And then what else we have here? We talked about competitiveness in the market. And then the ability to influence the project schedule, budget, and more importantly, the work packages that we won. So the City of Somerville project we won, we're packaging up that whole pump station. It'll be $50 million pump station that we're going to bid. And that's going to be a job that we're going to have a fill and bid and self-perform. And it's going to be a great opportunity for us all to really showcase the power of CMAR and working together where it makes sense. These jobs come away with some amazing references and they sell themselves. The jobs that, Jim has put in place with our teams have really been the key to success for selling the next job. And the more we put in place with these next 3 projects, the more opportunities to have a better resume. So just a great delivery system. I think, Jeff, you're going to talk about the next example for Spokane.
Yeah, so this brings together everything that we were just talking about and we've always talked about. This was a job in Spokane, Washington. It started out as a joint venture between MWH and Sladen, who is now owned by MWH, but was not at the time. And it's really, Sladen is very much a Methuen in the Pacific Northwest. They own Oregon. If Sladen's going after a job, a lot of people will just call us and simply say, are you going after it? We'll say, yeah, but we're not. So it's a very successful company in the Pacific Northwest, just like Methuen is here in the Northeast. So it was a $176 million CMAR. We won it based on staffing and fees and a proposal. No real price component other than the fee on the cost of work. That's when the job really starts to get special because we bid the first. They made us bid the first concrete package, and Sladen bid the job, was the low bidder, and won the job. We didn't have to bid anything for the rest of the job. They were like, this is too much work, we don't like all the paperwork, we're just going to negotiate everything going forward. So we converted all of the other GMPs into lump sum, and that was the key to the job. But what I really want you all to focus on is this portion of this pie over here. So we only made on this job, we only made a third of our profit on the fee. Everything else was on our ability to self-perform and outperform the budgets that we had on that job. We were able to negotiate the rates, negotiate the productivities, put a lot of people to work, and because we were able to outperform that, we picked up 11% of our profit. On our hard bid, we picked up a little bit, and then we made some money on our labor, and we got to keep all the contingency. We bid in, got some contingency in our bids, and we're able to keep all that. So where we are truly successful on a CMAR is when we layer that with self-performance. And what's not shown on here, Sarah, is the equipment profit, because the profit to the garage. Because the way that is recognized at NWH is that is billed straight through to the job, but we have another whole profit stream that is off the equipment profits. We're able to bill at Blue Book rates, which are way more than it costs, and able to capture that profit. So we got our profit on fee, we got our profit on self-performance through hard bid, we got our profit on negotiated self-performance, we outperform the budgets because they're negotiated budgets, we outperform the labor rates because they're negotiated labor rates, and we're able to capture some on contingency. So we had 7 different profit streams all coming to us on this one job that started out as a Blair 3.5% fee, something like that, and became one of the most successful jobs in our history through creative management, but also through self-performance. And that's what we need. This is the model that we wish we could duplicate everywhere, and we will be duplicating here.
So with all of that said, let's just take a look at the hard bid market. First of all, this is the region, and we have 3 wins so far this year: Franklin, Littleton, and North Brookfield. And you can also see the field of work that's coming up over the next several months, and this is not all inclusive. So we have the ability to look at and choose the best jobs that fit availability of resources, and to continue to build our backlog in the hard bid market. Beyond that, again, in the Northeast region, there are really 4 wins under the alternative delivery. Of course, we have within that Somerville that Anthony spoke of, North Windham, Everett, Mass, and Saco. So 4 big wins in the alternative delivery market, well over $200 million. And then here it is together, just the several wins that we've had so far this year. So nearly $250 million in wins. And if we can replicate that going forward over the next several months, we'll have a significant backlog. And if you look again, where is the work? Here's the density of work throughout the region. So questions have been asked about, gee, are we bidding and looking at work in Massachusetts? Yeah, we sure are. Look at that. And again, this is not everything we've got on the radar screen. This is just the next several months looking forward. So really a bright outlook in terms of work, availability of work, and we think we're very well positioned for the growth that we're looking to achieve here in this region. Further to that, so that's the direction of the organization. That answers the first point that came up during the survey. More so, the first two bullets are on communication. So there have been a number of people involved in improving the weekly and monthly cost reports and budgets. And we're just about there, but that is a communication and feedback tool, as well as a planning tool. So other things we're going to do in the area of communications, we're going to, as Jeff mentioned, we're going to continue to share the quarterly meeting slides, so those can be reviewed with everyone in the field so that everyone has that communication. We are in the process of sharing the hard bid list, what's up next, the next several jobs we're going to be looking at. We'll communicate that throughout the company. We're going to go back to monthly on-site meetings with the executives and senior leadership team. We'll go out to every job on a monthly basis. We'll have an agenda based on feedback and go over topics with you that are either of concern or suggestions and improvements. So we're going to get that program going right away. There was also a point where we sent out a President's Monthly Update addressing topics that affect the whole organization. That will go out on a monthly basis. And we're going to continue with this event along with many other regional social events so we can all get together. We have on your tables a regional newsletter. So that's the first version of that print. And then we're going to continue with regional branding, the newsletters, the hard hats, building signage. John McGrath made a suggestion about, the tags on the door, everyone's doors, to give it a more regional feel. So there's a whole number of things in that category we can do. And once again, we look for your suggestions. If there are other thoughts that you have, please share them. On the career development and mentoring, really to meet this strategy, to implement it, we really need to build our workforce and we need to develop our fellow teammates. So a little bit more on this later, but we have a dedicated role to help achieve that. So that will help move the ball forward. That'll be a big step. And then the other component that came up were wages and salaries. In some categories, it appears that our wages and salaries may be below par. So we'll get that data analyzed. We've got some very recent data. We'll take a look at it, and we'll get back to all of you by the end of June and have a path forward on that. We'll solve that problem for sure. And then on to promotions. And acknowledgement for John White on his work.
So first of all, congratulations to Ryan Boyle. Huge deal. Takes years of schooling, obviously, but then years of studying and actually doing the work before you take that test. So, big one. Thank you. Congratulations. Lee?
Yep.
Promotions to the last meeting: Ryan Boyle, the senior project engineer; Anthony Castile, the assistant superintendent; Joe Dwyer, the superintendent out of the shipyard; Chris, the civil lead; Derek Grader to director of scheduling; and Joe to assistant superintendent as well. So congratulations to all. about some more recent or today's changes and promotions and improvements. We've been talking with Joe Barry about taking on a larger role in the company. He's going to become the National Director of Corporate Safety for all of MWH and have the Regional Safety Director report to him. He is going to maintain his role here as Vice President of Safety, Risk, and Controls. Scheduling is going to move over and report directly to Wayne with Derek's promotion. So not only is that an opportunity for better improvement for Derek, this will create additional opportunities for everybody that has been reported to Joe. Diane Grillo is going to be promoted to Vice President of Finance, a job she's been doing far longer than she's been recognized for, and we are recognizing her for doing that job for us for so long and promoting her to Vice President. And Dennis, this is something we've been talking about for a while. Wasn't exactly sure how to execute it, but really some of the feedback from the employee engagement survey kind of put the final touches on this. So Dennis is going to be taking over. It's written out on a piece of paper over there that I didn't bring up. He's going to be taking over developing a program for training and developing superintendents, assistant superintendents into superintendents, just like he did for Joe out at the shipyard. Lead men into foreman into supers if that's where everybody wants to go. In addition to that, we've got some feedback that we don't do a great job yet of cross training, craft. I'm a carpenter, I want to be an operator. I'm a laborer, I want to be a millwright. Dennis is going to develop those programs. So we don't have a lot of that in place yet. Dennis is going to be working to develop that. He's going to stay at the shipyard a couple, 3 days a week and continue to mentor that and be responsible for that as well. But he is now going to take a leading role in developing these programs and rolling them out for the entire company. So congratulations to Joe, Diane, and Dennis. Some of you may know this. Jim's actually highlighted in our newsletter. So Jim was promoted to Vice President at MWH a month ago, give or take, about a month ago. So congratulations to Jim. And Anthony was just promoted to the Senior Vice President of MWH in the Northeast. We'll be working alongside Wayne to continue to grow the region, as we talked about earlier, to what we have envisioned. So congratulations to Anthony, congratulations to Jim. Last but certainly not least, congratulations to Wayne. As of right now, he is taking over the presidentship of Methuen. Long path to get here, well deserved. I think we all appreciate Wayne's leadership over all this time. I just want to tell a quick little story. I don't know the gentleman we bumped into last night at dinner.
Oh, Chris Ruffin.
Chris Ruffin.
Yes.
We just happened to bump into him over in Amesbury having dinner. And he said something that I thought was really enlightening. He came out to Wayne as he was walking out and shook Wayne's hand and thanked him for his leadership over the years and just said, "You've always been one of the best leaders at Methuen. I've always looked up to you, respected you, and appreciate you." And it was totally just out of the blue, and I just thought that was such a nice moment for me to hear that we already made this decision, and then to have that just reinforce that we did the right thing. So, Wayne, thank you, congratulations.
Well, I don't think we want any open flames in here. Well, we do many safety people, so thank you, Jeff. So that was very nice of you to say that. I did pick up Chris's bar tab, so I don't know.
Oh, that's right. All right, I take all that back.
All right. You can't do this job alone. And I would heavily rely on each and every person in this room. It really requires an entire team, an entire organization to accomplish what we have so far throughout the career of Methuen Construction, and to work collaboratively with Anthony and the rest of the MWH team. I know we can succeed, but you know, I'm going to need everyone's help and support. And I would ask that for that, not without asking you to please come see me if you have any concerns or anything I can help you with. You know, I'm here for you as fellow teammates. So thank you again. All right, so we have a couple of outstanding regional events coming up. The first one is the Fisher Cats game next Saturday. The food and buffet opens up at 6:05, and it's on a really great deck and venue out at Fisher Cats. It's not Fisher Cats Stadium, it's Delta Dental Northeast Stadium. But anyway, it really is a fantastic event. We had a good time last year, and right now we have about 140 people coming. So thank you to Ricky and the events team and HR for coordinating all of this. And then we're working to have 2 summer events based on feedback, again, from a survey. There were 2 options that were most prevalent and were at the top of the list. Six Flags out in Agawam, Mass. We don't have a date nailed down yet, but it will be sometime.
Monday, we'll know on Monday.
We'll know on Monday, Michelle tells me so. That's a great venue for people that live on, you know, south of Boston. And then we have Kimball Farm. That's nailed down for Saturday, the 16th of September. So 2 options, pick one, and we'd encourage everyone to participate. Once again, those are great social events. Those are family events, so would appreciate your participation, and once again, another time to get together. We did receive some feedback prior to the meeting. There were several items. The first one was an option for summer Fridays, maybe rotations in departments. So we looked at this, and really, when you look at how the company operates, right, all of the support groups that Jeff spoke of are there to support the projects, right? So you certainly, both the projects have the autonomy to adjust job schedules based on the needs of the jobs, and certainly the departments do. It just needs to be coordinated with the projects, and you know, we certainly have to maintain any requirements of the contract at the same time. So that's something we can certainly do. We can do, I guess, what is called Summer Fridays. So the next thing is to give safety points to redeem in the company store. So that's something we can do and support also. It's just a matter of how we do it. So we need to work with safety in developing something that isn't overly burdensome administratively. Let's do something that's simple, provides the rewards, and allows teammates to buy items in the company's store. On healthcare, a stipend in lieu of taking insurance. So right now, we're going to be entering renewal period for insurance, and as we always do, we look to improve benefits. But most insurance is based on census, right? The number of people participating, that drives the rates down, it makes it cheaper for everyone. So right now, we'll look at it, but it's probably not something we can do at this point, but we'll consider it. Another great suggestion, instructor-led fitness in the training room after hours. So we'll need somebody to look into that. We'll have to do a survey, see what type of fitness we're talking about, but certainly we can promote everyone's good health. So it's something we can look at. I can tell you right now, you're not going to see me running around in yoga pants. Thank God. Another one that's easy to implement, this is another great suggestion, increase the scholarship from 2,500 to 4,000. So done, yeah, we'll do that.
Starting this year.
Yeah, starting this year, thank you, Jeff. And once again, the feedback and suggestion box is completely anonymous. So please continue with your suggestions. And then another person that wasn't recognized because he's way too humble, Jeff has been promoted to the Chief Business Officer for MWH. And so Jeff takes on a bigger role with the overall organization. I think that's fantastic here for the region. Jeff has really been outstanding for all of us to work with. He's provided a lot of guidance, a lot of refreshing ideas, and has helped to guide us over the last year, really. So congratulations to Jeff, and thank you for all you've done for us here locally.
I just want to, there is another opportunity for feedback, and it is anonymous feedback, it truly is. There's a CEO, ask the CEO call next Friday. I believe the window is still open for those comments and suggestions and questions, quite frankly. If you don't care if you're anonymous or not, he's sitting right back there. So you're welcome to just go ask him whatever you want. He will give you the brutally honest answer. But if you want to be anonymous, feel free to go online and ask him. And he does a very good job of answering those questions. But that's next Friday, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
9 o'clock Mountain Time.
So that should 11 o'clock, yeah, 11 o'clock here. So with that, I think we're wrapped up.
We're wrapped up, unless there are any
Any questions? These will be non-anonymous questions.
The buffet will be open, don't take it.
When is
Take a
it?
look. It's gonna be open in 2
Right now?
minutes. Yep, as soon as you're done.
Then I'm done. Food's here. Thank you all.